Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to a game day edition of Winnipeg Sports Talk. Andrew Paterson, Michael Remis with ya. Mike McIntyre coming on a little later on to set up Jets Ducks tonight at 7:30 game. No idea why this game is 7:30. It's 7 o'clock all year long. This is, I believe, a local game. It's not a national TV game in the States. It's not a national TV game in Canada. So I don't know why, but just a heads up, if you're going to the game tonight, it's 7:30, which should be great for the downtown businesses. Maybe normally you're rushed. You can pop into our friends at Boston Pizza or one of the other spots downtown and help our downtown economy before you go into the game. Jets, 5 back of the playoffs, a massive night in the NHL. We'll touch on that coming up when Remo joins the program. And we'll see if the Jets can continue their winning ways at home as they continue this 8-game homestand. We'll see Isaac Rosie in his second game as a member of the Winnipeg Jets. Brad Lambert back, really looked good playing with Morgan Barron and Cole Koepke in that game on Saturday. And, of course, the red-hot Mark Scheifele, the NHL's first star of the week, announced yesterday, along with Kyle Connor and, of course, Gabriel Velarde, who finished the game with the big boys up on line number 1. The Ducks, for their part, it's an interesting team. It speaks to just how mid, or dare I say mediocre, the Pacific Division has been, because the Ducks, and Remis continues to point this out very astutely, with a -10 goal differential, are first place in the division. They come in with 73 points, 1 point ahead of the Vegas Golden Knights, and the Ducks do have a game in hand, and 3 points up on the Edmonton Oilers. To put it into perspective how, mediocre this division is, 73 points would have them 22 points out of first place in the Central Division, and in fourth place, or maybe fifth place, tied or behind the Utah Mammoth. So if they'd be just ahead of the Kraken and having that final wild card spot. If they were in the East, they would be 11 points back of the Buffalo Sabres. And in the Metropolitan, they'd be 13 back, and they would be out of the playoffs with 73 points. And like the Ottawa Senators have 73 points, and they are 3 back of a playoff spot right now. So the Ducks come in off of a loss, pretty ugly home loss to the St. Louis Blues on Sunday, in the middle of a dogfight with Vegas and Edmonton at the top of the Pacific Division. But like the top of the Pacific Division and the wild card in the West, the numbers are not where we expected them to be. And that low wild card number is the reason why all of a sudden people in Winnipeg are sort of going, wait a second, can this team get on a bit of a run and get back in? 11 points out of a playoff spot coming out of the Olympic break, and now all of a sudden it is only 5. Again, there's still plenty of teams ahead of the Jets. The LA Kings won last night. The San Jose Sharks are there. The Seattle Kraken are there, and the Nashville Predators in the Jets division, who are 2 points up. Jets do have a game in hand. And funny enough, we'll be cheering for the Preds tonight because they are in Seattle in the final game of a 13-game spread tonight. So we'll get to all of that coming up in just a minute. Dennis Bernstein with the latest on the league post-trade deadline. A little more on tonight's visitors, the Anaheim Ducks. Mike McIntyre. And with all the action around NFL free agency and, of course, the Players' Championship this week, perfect day to bring in WST fan favorite Geoff Fienberg, who'll join us a little bit later on the program. Big thanks to all the sponsors that make the show happen each and every day. Of course, our partners from day one, CoolBet Canada. We've got a Jet special for tonight and a Ride with Huss. We'll do that at the end of the program. Of course, the Winnipeg Jets. Don't forget, we do have one more WST game of the month, and that is Saturday, April 11th against the Philadelphia Flyers. Grab your tickets, winnipegjets.com/WST. We'll look forward to seeing you there. Of course, we'll get into the Clean Line lines for Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical. Our friends at Chud's Power Sports, Princess Auto, the St. B Mega Millions Lottery and Manitoba Battery, Rolly's Transfer, St. Vital Dental Center, Uptown Alley, Boston Pizza, Aikens Lake Wilderness Lodge, Royal Sports, Little Brown Jug, and our newest sponsors, the Manitoba Building Trades and Manitoba Federation of Labor, and of course, a why not question of the day for not Autocorp, but Waverly and McGillivray. Michael Remis, what's going on?
Yeah, we're here looking at the standings. I'm on Money Puck, checking out the odds for the Jets to get into the playoffs. And if you're following along here, 15.7% chance. And, as I said yesterday, down to 3.7% chance on January 30th. And the highest they've been this is the highest they've been since January 18, 14.2. And if they win tonight, as per Money Puck, in regulation, up to 18.8%. So we're in a playoff race. So we're standings watching. Really didn't think we could be here, but it's going to be up to them to win, because if they lose in regulation, it's back down to 9%. So big game against the Ducks in this newfound playoff race. Kind of fun. So it should be a great night. 7:30 puck drop. It's interesting.
Yeah, again, no idea why, but this is the one game of the year. It's a 7:30 game at home. Like, people old enough to remember Jets 1.0, the games were 7:30. And then the first few years of the Moose, the games were at 7:30. And then for some reason, at some point, we moved the games to 7. And then it's never gone. And I think 7 is sort of the standard for most teams in the league. Chicago still does do 7:30 starts. There might be another team or two, maybe the Islanders. But regardless, kind of an interesting little schedule quirk tonight. And speaking of schedule, dude, of course, the après ski night was supposed to be earlier this year, but had to be postponed. And first 5,000 fans getting to the building tonight are going to get those ski goggles that we showed off on the show before the originally planned date for après ski night.
Big week of giveaways for the Jets games, Huss. Those cowboy hats, we talked about it yesterday. Huge hit on Saturday, après ski night, and Saturday, hoser night. Well, I guess hoser afternoon, a 3 p.m. start against the Colorado Avalanche. So if you're into hats and goggles, I think people will be wearing them on the broadcast. I'll never forget when they gave away those Blaze orange hats at a Wild game. The Jets were playing one time against Minnesota, and everyone in the crowd was wearing these orange hats. So it is fun for the broadcast, and I know people might already be lined up to get their ski goggles. You got to be the first 5,000.
Yeah, well, I can tell you that there were, the country night especially, it was very well executed promo. We talked about that. Great atmosphere, awesome crowd. Those hats went immediating. There was 5,000 of them. They were a real high quality giveaway item. And people were lined up, ready to go, coming right out of the gate. So, we'll, if you do want to get your hands on those goggles, I would get there early tonight. I imagine the doors 6:30, not the usual 6 p.m. And then certainly, I would say Saturday, much like last Saturday for Country Night, Reem, there will be plenty of people there early to get their hands on those the hoser hats, those fur ones that we've seen some pretty fun ads at the games as of late with the Jet players wearing those in advance of the hoser promo.
Yeah, so I think we've had some good nights here. I think people are excited about the team's streak here. You're coming into this game, 6-game point streak, Huss, and exciting finish on Saturday. So keep it rolling tonight against a very exciting Anaheim Ducks team that's really given the Jets trouble this season. Look, on November 9 in Anaheim, wasn't a great game for the Jets. Lost 4-1, and then the overtime loss just a couple weeks ago, 5-4. So the Ducks lead the season series 2-0. You have to think, hey, are the Winnipeg Jets due in this one? We'll have to wait and see. They have a lot of great young talent led by Cutter Gauthier, 57 points. Leo Carlson, he's been injured, but he's back, 52. Sorry, I said Cutter's 57. And Beckett Seneca. And if Matthew Schaefer wasn't having the season that he's having, historic, on his way, 20-plus goals as a rookie defenseman, not something you see. You'd think that Beckett Seneca, who's been so good, now on the second line there, he would get some consideration. 51 points for him. So this Anaheim team, they play fast. You don't want to get into a track meet with them. We kind of saw that the last game, 5-4. You want to get into, I think, a low-scoring affair here and let Connor Hellebuck make the saves.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've been talking about all season about Leo Carlson. I have him in fantasy, so I've made a point of watching when I have the opportunity, watching these late Ducks games. And I mean, this kid is a bona fide number one stud center at just over 20 years old. But, you know, being as bad as they've been for the last few years, I mean, it's now turning into, a pretty really good young team. Seneca's been awesome. He'll almost assuredly be a finalist along with Demidov and Schaefer for the Calder, as you mentioned. And then Cutter Gauthier, who they got for Drysdale in a second-round pick. And then some of the other guys they've added, Jacob Trouba, Chris Kreider, you've got Granlund, Alex Killorn there. So, I mean, the Ducks do have a pretty strong squad and a pretty good young goalie as well. But he's going to have to deal with Connor Hellebuck tonight. Remo, why don't you pull up the lines and give us an idea about the Clean Line lines today for our friends at Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, the official plumbing service of the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, not a lot of changes happening for the Winnipeg Jets on the lines, rolling with what they had Saturday against Vancouver. Connor, Shafley, Velarde, Perfetti, Lowry, Iafallo. You got the new look third line, Nyquist, Taves, and Isaac Roseanne. The newcomer, Cole Koepke, Morgan Barron, and Brad Lambert, who had a really strong game last game, even if they didn't get on the score sheet. You wonder, but they didn't really get a ton of ice time. I'm curious how it's going to roll for them tonight. Morrissey, DeMello on defense. Welcome back, Josh Morrissey, with the overtime winner. Sandberg, Salamonson been very strong defensively. Hayden Fleury and newcomer Bryson on defense. Connor Hellebuck starting in net. So there's your new look Winnipeg Jets lines for Clean Line, Huss. And not a lot of changes, and, don't change a winning lineup that's been pretty strong for them here in the last couple games.
Yeah, the bottom line is they're getting wins. And, even though some of them haven't been really impressive, they've had to go to OT. Excuse me. Quick sneeze there for the folks. My apologies. Bless myself. They found a way to get the points that they needed. But you look at this week, and with Colorado coming in on Saturday, these next two must-wins.
Yeah, and you look at the way the Jets have played, I think limiting goals has been absolutely huge. 1 goal against to San Jose, 2 against to Chicago, 1 against to Tampa, 2 against to Vancouver. Now, I don't think the degree of difficulty here is all that high. You're facing a team with some more firepower tonight in Anaheim, but the Jets have done their job so far, and it's really put them in a position where, hey, we're talking about a very, very outside chance at the playoffs. So we'll see. And Scott Arniel spoke today after the morning skate and was asked, what are the Jets doing well on this 6-game point streak?
Playing faster, with and without the puck. It's something we had talked about, those opportunities to practice during the break. Just trying to get a whole lot quicker in a lot of areas. And there's a lot of fast teams in this league, and just something that, some areas we looked at, whether that was a little bit of our neutral zone forecheck, even our old zone forecheck, getting out of our end, transition, those type of things.
All right, there's the coach, Scott Arniel, as we mentioned. Tonight, Ducks, Rangers on Thursday. You get a couple more wins to continue the heat on the teams ahead of you, and then take a winning streak if you're lucky enough to get there into a big game with the big dogs of the Central Division, the Colorado Avalanche. Here's a little bit more from Arniel on just staying even-keeled right now in this stretch, knowing the daunting road ahead.
Yeah, this is, obviously we know what's at stake here, and I think our group has gone through a lot of different experiences, or, in my time being around guys, and so, this is sort of a new one for us, and I think our veteran guys have all, our leaders have all been really good and gone out and being our best players, and sort of everybody's piggybacked and jumped on board.
Now, a couple new faces in the lineup on Saturday night. But by the way, strangely, and this often happens, teams that aren't very good don't force you into positions where you're out of position or, kind of trailing it. But Remo, no penalties for the Jets in the last game. That had been a long time since we'd seen a game with Winnipeg. I think only the 12th time in franchise history, nobody spent any time in the penalty box.
Yeah, got rid of that goon, Logan Stanley. No one to drop the gloves anymore. No, but hey, I think it speaks to a clean game. The Jets have played well, take advantage of their opportunities, with their power play. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of that, Huss. It is interesting. It did say in the game notes one of the least penalized teams in the league, and
since Jan 1, number 1, 5.57 PIM per game, which is the lowest in the NHL. And that's obviously a good thing for a team that special teams has sort of been up and down over the course of this year. But I mentioned the call up of Brad Lambert at the deadline. He takes Tanner Pearson's place. It was, again, all last week we were saying it was important to open up a spot to find room for some of the guys from the Moose to come in and do some auditioning. Massive, massive opportunities for Brad Lambert. Morgan Barron spoke very highly of Lambert yesterday or on the weekend, just, about the first game with him. And I think Cole Koepke he and Barron seem to really click together in that role on the fourth line. And to be honest, I think quite deserving of more ice time. I guess if the game was a little different and Lankinen didn't play the way he was and they weren't kind of chasing the game through the third period, I think we would have seen more of them. And if we can be in a advantageous situation tonight, I think we'll see a lot more. But here's Arnie on Brad Lambert, who was back in the lineup with Koepke and Barron.
Yeah, I think that, he's, we saw him earlier in the year, and I do think that, he's got speed and he's got puck handling and playmaking abilities. And, I just think with those guys, there's a lot of speed on that line. And, the other night they had some real good looks offensively, and I think he just complements being the right shot on that line. And we'll see, he gets a power play opportunity in that second unit. I know it wasn't a whole lot of ice in the sense of that our first group was on a little bit longer. But, I just, it's another good runway for him here. He's going to be here for the rest of the year, and it's going to be an opportunity for him, to show us what he can do. And he's been building as a pro the last couple of years, and we transitioned him from center to right wing, and I think that he's grasping on how to play that side, and just again every day for him is just to learn and grow and continue to show what he can do.
All right, and interesting to note that, Arnie, there, I wasn't sure whether that was the case for Lambert, the way they had said for Rosie, and he's, here and he's going to be here the rest of the year. But there you have it. I mean, 20 games in the bigs for Brad Lambert coming, and another opportunity to sort of try to cement himself as an NHLer with the Winnipeg Jets tonight. There are still some players out of the lineup. Here's a quick injury update from head coach Arniel.
Neil and Millsy are kind of on a day, or I think they're doing 2 days or 1 day or 2 days on and then taking a couple days off, but they're still a little ways away. Nino and Vladdy got on the ice today for the first time, but that was just pushing pucks around, getting a feel for the puck. They're still, they're still a little ways away too.
All right, so there's Arniel on, in particular, Pionk and Miller, who are still a little ways away. Now, if you look at the Jets' defensive play, certainly last week, mean, they gave up 2 to the Canucks, only 1 to Tampa, 2 to the Lightning, 2 to San Jose in that overtime loss. And then, of course, at the end of coming back out of the break, 2 to Vancouver. And then, the one time they did get victimized a little bit was against these Ducks in a pretty fun but wide open game that they lost 5-4. Arnie talked about the defensive play of the team coming out of the break.
We've been known to, be real good in that area. I think it's slipped at times throughout the season. And at this time of year, from that Olympic break on, they're all low-scoring games. Everybody's, especially if you're in it, everybody's in the battle, and they're not going to give up a whole lot of ice. And we have to be the exact same way. You can't get in these shootout games. You can't get into running gun games. This is where you have to, you're playing your playoff style of hockey, and we're going to have to do it all the way in. We can't allow teams to have easy offense. We got to make sure that we are real good with how we cover, how we defend, how quick we do it. We got a great goaltending, so that helps us an awful lot as well. So limit the chances. That's a big thing for me, is the amount of chances that we're limiting the opposition to, and it's also created offense for us the other way. We have the puck a heck of a lot more.
Well, that will make a much more happy head coach in Winnipeg here if the defense can keep going. We've done a little digging, and it seems like, Remis, we can blame the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Montreal Canadiens for this 7:30 start tonight.
I have to confirm this, but yeah, Dom says in chat that it's like a special Tuesday hockey night in Canada with so many games. So they're doing, Leafs Habs on Sportsnet, and so I guess because they have that game nationally, the Jets have to start theirs at 7:30 because you can't have a Canadian team competing with them. Flames and Rangers on. So I'm waiting to confirm. I
think that does sound right.
That makes sense.
Now that I think about it, when there are national, usually the national games are on Wednesdays, and that's part of the reason why the slates are smaller on Wednesdays traditionally. But I think that sounds about right. Let's find out a little bit more about the visitors tonight. The Anaheim Ducks come in. Jets saw them just about a week ago in a wide open affair that had 9 goals light the lamp. Here's the scouting report from Scott Arniel on tonight's opponents, the Anaheim Ducks.
One, their top end talent, especially with their young guys that have all kind of matured over the last couple of years.
Wait.
I think I said it down Anaheim. If you stand and wait and see what the next play is going to be, they're gone. And they're not just gone with 3 forwards; they're gone with both defensemen as well. And they transition so well, and they come so hard. It does remind me of the those black hot days. They'll trade chances against you, and it's they really do that well. They just they pressure with their speed. They attack you with their speed. They don't let their D or they're coming down both walls in the offensive zone. If that's why you kind of stress, if you got to stay in your structure to create the offense the other way. And that game down in Anaheim, we had 5 2-on-1s or 3-on-2s. We didn't score on them, but the transition went back the other way when it turned over. That was the part that scares you. So one, you're going to get the offense. Secondly, you got to defend what's maybe coming the other way, and that's Q. Q likes that push it hard offensively, and it's always 5 guys coming hard and in a hurry, and they have especially now their back end moves real well, and they're able to get up the ice quick, and that just adds into those top forwards.
Just a symbol of the right coach at the right time for that particular team.
Yeah, I think that I think that everybody recognizes that. Ultimately, like I said earlier, you got to defend, and you have to learn how to defend. I think they've been kind of learning that as they grow. I think that he's really opened up that sort of offense that, goes the other way. But it's fun to watch their highlights. They're usually 6-5 games, and it is a lot of that back and forth.
Hey, Bob, you hear the news?
I can't listen to the news, Daryl.
This is different.
Oh, it's so negative.
Not this time. Manitoba's got these new jobs agreements. And when the government builds things like new schools and hospitals, they'll hire Manitoba workers first.
Really?
Creating good jobs with union standards and more apprenticeships for Manitobans. And we'll get rid of those out-of-province license plates on job sites.
Keeping our money working for Manitobans, eh?
You betcha.
Well, that's how it should work.
I knew you'd like it.
A message from Manitoba's Building Trades and Federation of Labor.
Got a little chilly the last couple days when it is cold. Actually, anytime. If you're looking to go out for a great time, maybe get away from hockey, your sour taste about the Olympics, Uptown Alley, a great spot to do that. No place you'll have more fun than Uptown Alley with your gang, with 5 and 10 pin bowling, laser tag, a state-of-the-art arcade, and amazing food and beverage options. If you're just going out there to have a good time or you want to plan a group or corporate event, best place for birthday parties for kids, teens, or adults. And of course, if you want to do an event there, you basically just let them know your numbers, what activities you want to do, what you want to eat, any add-ons, and the friendly staff at Uptown will take care of all the rest. Find out more on booking your next event at Uptown Alley at 488-0000 or check them out online at uptownalley.ca. If you've got a move coming up into the spring and summer, holler at the gang over at Rolly's Transfer, a great supporter of Winnipeg Sports Talk. Of course, Rolly's is family-owned and operator for over 60 years and the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba. If you check out their website at rollys.com, top right corner, you'll click on Request an Estimate. Use that promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies, and then let them know when and where you're moving and what needs to go, and their friendly staff will turn it around quickly with a great quote and get you locked in for the white glove treatment and service that they've been famous for now into their 7th decade. Rolly's Transfer, the most trusted name in the moving game. Find out more today and plan ahead at rollys.com. And just before we bring in Brandon, got to shout out Dr. Terry and the great people over at St. Vital Dental Center. It's not the most glamorous thing or the thing you're looking most forward to, but I can tell you it's always nice seeing the great people at St. Vital Dental Center. And they've been taking care of generations of Winnipeggers and Manitobans for all their dental needs, handling clients from 6 months to 99 plus with the full array of dental services, from cleanings and checkups to surgeries like dental implants. They do it all. Check them out online at stvitaldental.ca. You can make an appointment online to pop by and see Dr. Terry and his great staff. New spot, 167 St. Anne's Road, convenient free parking right behind the building. Big thanks for the support from the St. Vital Dental Center. All right, Dennis Bernstein coming up in just a couple of minutes. Remo, I am noticing in the chat the new ice blue mic, and I see Schnitzy in there. Schnitzy, thanks, pal. Appreciate the well wishes. Yeah, we had a great time yesterday doing the 5th anniversary show, and appreciated all the kind words from everyone. But Remo, as we get older and the channel gets older, we can really see the people that have been members of our channel supporting since day one.
Yeah, we appreciate everyone's support, but in our second year, some people wanted to support a bit more, and for $2 a month, we do have a YouTube membership, which you get some emotes, which I really should add some more of them that people use in chat. People love using the mute button, or you doing the wave. We still have the Logan Stanley one in there, or the water bottle, but also get a different color microphone beside their name in chat based on how long they've been a member. So, a couple people I see in chat, Leslie, Schickster, Derek Schmidt, have the new ice blue microphone color. And so it's looking pretty fancy there. People getting a look at that one today. But what is the one below? Purple. I see, so many different members. We appreciate everyone, equally who's, tuning in, engaging with our content, hitting the like button, following us on social media, all of that, tells the almighty algorithms, hey, we're putting out some great content, and, maybe it'll show it to more people. As, we've put out some Instagram reels as well. As one of you and Geoff talking about the possibility of the Jets in the playoffs, that's getting a lot of comments as well. So appreciate everyone who's come out to support.
By the way, I think I need to make a statement on this as you put in the wave emote. I believe I certainly said this in some conversations like at the beginning of last week. I think I said it on the show, but, kind of thinking that the rest of the season was whatever. Mm-hmm. It was green light on wave for the rest of the year. Just go ahead, wave away, have fun at the game. Doesn't matter if you curse anything. I'm revoking that statement right now. We're 5 points back. There's some big games coming up. They have done enough to legitimately talk about what if. So normal wave rules are back in effect, everybody.
Hey, I was watching Vancouver the other night, and they're out of it. Their fans don't care. And, they were getting smoked by was it Carolina? And they just started doing the wave, and they're just having a good time. I'm like, good for them. Enjoy it.
That was my point. That was basically my point. But, to the credit of the team and how they played coming out of the break and getting a little few breaks, thank God we're not in Vancouver's situation right now. And that is such a mess there. I mean, we'll have some time. We should probably get Sakaris back on to talk about it. That barn last night was 70% Senators fans. They were chanting, "Go Sens, go." It was, I mean, listen, I know a lot of people, hey, and hopefully, for Vancouver's sake, I mean, they're by far the worst team in the league. They'll have a top 3 pick. Maybe it's number 1, and maybe they can make something happen. But I think that team's been really poorly run. I think their stakeholders and their fans have been treated like shit by the Aquilinis for a long time. And you combine all that with being the worst team in the league, and that can be a period that it takes years and years to come back from. And that is not something that I think anyone would like to see this team be in. Anyways, thanks again for all of your well wishes on our 5th anniversary yesterday. Appreciate all of you. And of course, all of our guests, including some regulars that have been on throughout the last 5 years, including the one and only Dennis Bernstein of the 4th period, who joins us now. What's up, boss?
Time flies when you're having fun, Hustler. 5 years. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks, pal.
So great.
It is wild. I mean, it was a quick turnaround to sort of pivot to make this happen in the aftermath of it. And, we had some sponsors that said, we'll give you guys 3 months and see how it is. And by the end of that first 3 months, we were off to the races and haven't looked back. But speaking of not looking back, this Winnipeg Jets team is trying not to look back and lament an 11-game losing streak, all these overtime losses, and the points left on the table, because kind of shockingly, very quickly, out of the break, 11 points has turned into 5. Now, you still got the Kings and the Sharks and the Preds there, but Seattle's not doing enough, and 5 is a heck of a lot less than 11 right now, Dennis. What do you make of a little bit of resurgence of Winnipeg back into, dare I say, a bit of a snail's turtle race, if you will, for that final wild card in the West?
Fans, do you hear that? Do you hear that? That's Hustler's voice of optimism. You believe it?
Hard.
Can you believe it, fans? It's possible. Let's put it this way. The Jets' goal differential this year, right now, is -11. The Ducks lead the Pacific. They're -10. Is it possible? Yeah. And look at the 5 more at home. Why not? Look at the Pacific. Everybody stinks. The Kings finally won a game yesterday that helped them in the standings. Is it possible? Absolutely. The way they're playing, it's possible. Is there enough runway? That's the question. They have to get rich on the rest of the homestand. And then you go on the road, and there's winnable games on the road. So it's not a function of how great the Jets are playing. Everybody else stinks. It's a season like no other. The Kings would be in last place in the Atlantic Division, and they got a shot up there, 1 point out of a playoff spot? And you're right. See, all these. Who do you believe in? That's the thing. Which teams ahead of the Jets do you believe in, Hustler? It's absolutely possible, and these are important games, especially one tonight against the Ducks.
Yeah, let's just talk about the Pacific for a minute.
Sure.
Listen, I mean, Remis continues to say it every week. Anaheim's in first place, and they got a -10 goal differential. I mean, this is just not good. I was saying, you take the first place team, Anaheim, and put them in the Central, they're 22 back. They
should be 22 back, Hustler. This is not an anomaly. That's not a good. Their defense is worse than Edmonton's. 211 goals against, I think it is at this point. You can't do it. Now they're getting John Carlson, which should stabilize the blue line a little bit. But you're right, Hustler. This is a team that could be dangerous and volatile in the playoffs. But is it set up to be a successful team in the playoffs? Not with that defense. No way.
You know, it's incredible you point that out. The Ducks are 31st in the league in goals against.
Yeah.
Like Vancouver has 237. The Ducks are the next team at 221. And to be honest, I mean, you can tell me, like, I actually have quite an affinity for Dostal. Now, I mean, is this a matter of like the goaltending hasn't been there, or it's had to actually be pretty good to be where they are right now because this team can score, but they can't defend?
That's what ruined John Gibson in Anaheim. Too many shots against. So, yeah, no, he's a legit goaltender. You saw him in the Olympics. It's not on him. It's the defense. Look, these guys want to play up tempo, right? These are young players like Carlson and Seneca and Gauthier. They're not 200-foot players yet. They're 100-foot players, but they're exceptional 100-foot players. When they get in your zone, it's over. And this team, plays from behind a lot. They find their offense is stellar. Like, these kids they're on the rise. But they're going to have to address, all their right side defensemen right now. Carlson, Gudis, and Trouba, they're all unrestricted free agents. The left side is set with the younger players. So what do they do in the offseason? But this is a team that is going to cause problems, but they may cause more problems for themselves than anybody else, given the way they play defense at this point.
Now, I mean, the Ducks are a fun team, and we'll be focusing on them tonight.
Yeah.
What is going on with Vegas? I went through the schedule on the other show that I was doing in Edmonton today, and we said, well, they actually beat Detroit last week 2-1. You had to go all the way back, Dennis, to the 20th of November. For the last time that they'd beaten a team that is in a playoff spot right now. And in total, all season long, they have beaten 4 teams in a playoff spot for a total of 6 wins against playoff teams. This is not the Vegas Golden Knights, I think, that people expected, especially when you consider they went ahead early and got Rasmus Andersson, who seemingly has had quite a rocky start in Sin City.
Oh, and it's been tough. Yeah, it's been tough. And what's the normal paradigm? Normal is you take care of business against the worst teams, and you play 500 against the playoff teams. Well, they're not playing 500 against the playoff teams. That's why they're in the predicament. They are the best team, pound for pound. They should be in there. But Adin Hill is not the Adin Hill that won in 2022. That's very, very clear. And you're right. Rasmus Andersson hasn't acclimated himself, but he's not a shutdown defender either. Like, they needed a shutdown guy, and they still miss Petro. They miss his shutdown ability, and I'm sure they miss him in the room. And now Stone's out. There's a lot of leadership that's not in the room right now that was there when they won a championship. So I'm not totally surprised because it's an older team. Like, Jack is great, obviously. Marner has been okay. He's been okay. Right? But this is a team that could easily get knocked out in the first round the way they're playing right now. I think primarily because you can't have – wasn't Carter Hart supposed to be the solution here? Wasn't that supposed to be the guy?
Where is
he? And now Aiden, he's still on injured reserve. It's crazy. But they're a team that – here's the problem, though. Somebody out of that division – well, I shouldn't even say that. Somebody out of the division could get to the conference final, but you know who's sitting the best right now? Utah. Utah's probably rubbing their hands saying, oh, we get to play the first-place team in that division. They'd be favored right now. So you're right. This is not the same Vegas team. There's a lot of things missing. I think a lot of it is leadership in the room.
No, you mentioned the Mammoth, and like there's now they have played 2 more games than the Kraken have. But that first wild card spot, especially for a Central Division team, is exactly where you want to be at. Like, I mean, to be honest, and this goes back to how obscene just the way things are run with the playoffs, but you don't think the Minnesota Wild would rather be where Utah is right now and have the path through the Pacific as opposed to having to play Dallas in the first round, and if they're lucky enough to win, in all likelihood, the Avalanche?
Well, but here's the flip side of that. You want to reward teams for winning the division, don't you? And shouldn't Colorado's reward playing the second wild card? Shouldn't that be a reward as well? I get the anomaly here, and it's an anomaly. This is not. You don't have a
but at least if it was 1-8, at least if it was 1-8, you would have Colorado play the second wild card. You'd have whoever wins the Pacific Division play the first wild card. but then you'd have Dallas playing Edmonton, and you'd have Minnesota playing Vegas, as opposed to having two 70-point teams go at it when you got two teams that are both 15 points clear going up in the first round. I mean,
but I could also show you. I can show you seasons where if you did 1 through 8, it'd be the exact same seedings. So I'm not looking to
and that's fine.
I'm not looking to upheaval this. I'm not, because I don't want to touch the best part of the playoffs. Guess what? You're gonna have to beat good teams. That's it. Like, and sometimes you're.
So is that the idea? Just give us a marquee matchup in the first round, even if it's patently unfair to the teams?
Well, let me ask you a question. Who cares if Minnesota would lose in the first or second round?
Minnesota.
They would lose in the second round. But what's the difference? It doesn't affect the champ. Like, you're going to lose at some point. Here's the thing, Hustler. Does this system give you the best team? Does the best team win the Stanley Cup? It does. And when some team comes through because of their,
I mean, I'll say this.
Give me the team that won 16 games that had an easy path. It doesn't happen.
Well, I would say this, though. Like a team like Dallas, for instance, who is number 2 in the league. Like the fact that they have to play the number 4 team in the league in the first round and then the number 1 team in the second round, to me is, and I mean, you mentioned like, who cares? I guarantee you, if you ask the ownership of the Minnesota Wild with the season that they've had for a team that, when was the last time they won the first round? I can't remember. Yeah. But I mean, those home dates count. I mean, there's a lot of money that comes in from those.
Go out and win the round. Go out and beat Dallas. Go and trade for a second line center, which you didn't do, by the way. And now you've got Ryan Hartman at 2C. Right? And why? So here's my question. Why are we stopping at 1-8? If you really want to be equitable, go 1-16.
Well, that would be the best, but it's the travel that, they say you can't do that. Sign me up for that. Okay, let's talk about this for a minute. If that was the case right now, here's what our matchups would be. Let's do this here.
Let's go through the
So 5, so 8. So the 8-9 would be Montreal-Pittsburgh. The 7-10 would be Detroit and the Islanders. Tampa Bay would play Boston. Columbus, Buffalo. Minnesota versus the Ducks. Utah, Carolina. Vegas, Dallas. Washington, Colorado. Edmonton and the Kraken are out of the playoffs.
Right. Okay.
That would be phenomenal.
You wouldn't. Well, you would. That's the division. You would say 8 teams get in and then seed them 1 through 16. You know what I'm saying? Like you would keep this 1 through 8, keep the divisional setup, but then you seed 1 through 16. See what I'm saying? So Edmonton's in because they're the 3rd place team. So you would keep those teams. Does that make sense?
I mean, I guess that would be one way of doing it.
I think that's the way you would do it. I mean,
the other, I guess if you do have more teams,
you're doing just on pure points. Right?
Although the funny thing is, it makes the Pacific Division teams look even worse.
Yeah.
Because they're playing more games in their division.
They are worse. They are worse. This is a dog's breakfast. I keep using that term. It's a mess. It's terrible. It's a bad division. It happens. It'll happen. It'll happen in the Atlantic. Maybe never in the Central. It'll happen in the Metro one year if Carolina goes backwards. It's a bad division. It's terrible. Every night there's teams losing. Every night there's teams not making up ground. It's like I said early in the season, there was a season like no other because of the compacted schedule in the Olympics. But what's going on in the Pacific, Hustler? Wow, what a disaster. Holy cow. But you're right. But don't we want to prove that? Don't we want to prove this is just a bad division and whoever gets out of it are they really a legitimate contender? I don't even know. Like if you win 2-1, if Utah would lose to the first wild card and it would be one of these teams, top 3 right now, getting out, would they have a chance against the Central Division winner? Only if that Central Division winner gets really beat up and they got injury issues.
Well, and that's real. Yeah. That's absolutely real. I mean, as I say, like I think the regular season is way too long to begin with. And if it is, let's at least make it mean something. I mean, now it's basically you just get in And as I say, and maybe this is
It's
from
going
a
to
Central
84,
Division fan.
Hustler. Hustler's going to 84, not 82.
That's a joke. It's an absolute joke. Don't get me going on that. But
I won't.
Dennis, like this, like I just think about it from here in Winnipeg and the Jets, like 17-18, second round of the playoffs.
Yep.
The number 1 and 2 teams in the league. The Jets the Jets were 2. They had to knock off Nashville. Like, I mean, I would love to have a path to at least have those best 2 teams playing in the third round, if not the Cup final. Now, it's not going to change if your 2 teams are, both in the West. We know it's not going to go to 1-16 like that, but but it is good. Well, hey, while we're on the topic of the bizarro season, let's talk about the best story in hockey and one of the best stories in sports going on right now. The rise of the Buffalo Sabres.
Oh, my God.
Dude,
Best.
that game on Sunday, we might go a decade or 2 before having another regular season game that had that much juice, that much energy, that many goals. I mean, Gary Bettman, to have that on the hockey day in America, starting off with the Wild and the Avalanche. I mean, John Shannon came on and said that was one of the best days of regular season hockey he can remember. But my God, dude, that Tampa Buffalo game is a game that we'll be talking about for a long, long time. And if you've seen the reaction of the Buffalo fans, Buffalo media, anybody with any skin in the game of that area of upstate New York, it's special right now. And I mean, you need to have a cold, dead heart if you don't have a little bit of a good feeling for the people of Buffalo after what they've been through and where this team is at.
A decade and a half in the making. And it just goes to prove that Tampa is just not pissed at Florida. They're now pissed at Buffalo too. So but what again? Hustler, Buffalo could get to the Cup final.
Oh yeah.
Because that's the only team that's really pound for pound better than them right now. When Josh Norris comes back and you go Thompson, Josh Norris, McLeod down the middle, the winning combination down the middle. They have 2 first overall picks on the blue line. They're finally getting saves. And I think that's the biggest thing is their goaltending turned around. And they have a belief system now. They believe what's going on is, the message that Lindy Ruff is sending is getting through. So this is a very dangerous team. It's got all the facets to go deep. Right now, they could get knocked out depending on the matchup in the first round because of the alignment that you don't like. But this is a legit team now. Like going forward, this is a legit team. The one question is Alex Tuch stay home? That would be the biggest misstep. And you mentioned all the good times, all of the fans coming back. The building was loud. The building sold out now. And there's a guy from Western New York who wanted to play there when he got traded there, who wants to stay. You got to pay him. I don't care if it's $11.5 million a year. Like you've paid everybody else. This guy wants to stay. To have him leave, and he's certainly one of the leaders, even though he doesn't wear a C, you got to keep him home. But this is a legit team that is a dangerous team, Hustler. They are. Look, a Stanley Cup final in Buffalo would be crazy. First of all, that would be nuts.
I mean, playoffs to start. But I'm with you. I mean, this team, like they have been by a pretty significant margin the best team in the league since the start of December. And,
absolutely.
And let me just pull up their schedule because I want to talk about this. So December 1st, they beat the Jets, and this might have been, I mean, there's been a few dog's breakfast, to use your term, this year. This might have been, like if we did a Chud's Sports or Power Poll for the worst games of the season, this is definitely in the top 3, and it might be number 1. So the Sabres win that game. They then lose to Philly. They come to Winnipeg and lose 4-1. They lose 7-4 to Calgary. And I believe at that point they were like 11-14-2.
Right.
They come back the next day on the second end of back-to-back and get an overtime win over the Oilers. They beat Vancouver. And then they go to Seattle and they finish the road trip with a win. So they win 3 in a row.
Yep.
Kevin Adams got fired the next day on a 3-game winning streak. And they rattled off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They won 7 more for a 10-game winning streak where their GM was fired in the middle of it. Has anyone talked to Kevin Adams? And what?
I don't think so. No.
Has there been an interview? Like, I was just thinking about, like, where is that guy right now? And what must he be thinking about all the work that he did? The fact that he got fired literally as this team snapped their fingers and turned it around and now are one of the best teams in the league. With the team that he put together.
He could be Jim Neal doesn't need to win it again. Maybe give it to Kevin Adams as a going away present, right?
Can you imagine?
His team. And for people saying that was the defining moment, players don't give a damn who the GM is. Come on, stop it. Like, Keck fell into a really good situation with a very talented team who got healthy, and they're maximizing their potential. The potential. They've always had the potential. Remember a couple of years ago when Jack was still there, they missed by 1 point. This team always had potential. You look at the lineup. And you look at a guy like Jason Zucker, who came in, who was a veteran, who's bounced around the league. He's one of the leaders in the room right now. So it's a great story. And regardless of what happens in the playoffs, and they're making the playoffs without question, like, it's a huge season for this team because they finally turned around. There's finally hope in Buffalo. And this team, they're a young team. They're staying power here. This is not an old team. Now, maybe they add some veterans in the offseason. Maybe Keck goes that route to figure out the gaps in the team. But this is a young team. How old is Paige Thompson? 26, 27? The two guys on the blue line are young.
Oh.
This is a legitimate team that can do damage and is going to be a contender. Their window's open now. It really is. So I'm really interested to see what they do in the offseason.
Thompson, Dahlin, Owen Power, all on long-term deals.
Yeah.
They do have some free agents, but I mean, I'm with you. I mean, I think they get it done with Alex Tuck.
They have a championship core. They've established, and that's what great teams do. Like, winning team, you identify your core, 4 or 5 players, and then you add to it. That's what happened in Florida. That's what Billy Zito did. He identified his core and went and added and made trades and made signings. That's the next step for Buffalo now. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens going forward.
The rise of the Sabres. Hey, coming out of Friday in the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, crazy Nazem Kadri going to Colorado, who really stepped in. I mean, I think there's Colorado and then everyone else. But Dennis, when you look, like, what was the team or the GM that left you going, wait a second, that was it? I mean, was there a team or two that you were shocked that were sitting on their hands as opposed to being bold?
Nashville. What are they doing? Like, they're trying to get to the playoffs, and their best part of their team is the penalty kill, and they traded the 2 penalty killers. And you had offers for Stammer, for O'Reilly, and for Marchessault, and you didn't take them because you're trying to serve 2 masters. I'm trying to get to the playoffs, and I'm trying to look for the future. He needs to go. He should have gone. The ownership should have had the assistant general manager run his trade deadline. Like, what's Trotz doing? Like, I don't get it. It's stunningly bad. And it's clear. I can't even think of a second at this point in time. Maybe Minnesota, but they went and got their guy. I can't say they had a bad deadline because they didn't get their second line center when they got Quinn Hughes. But I don't know what's going on in Nashville. That's just a disaster.
What about Carolina?
Yeah.
Like, it just seems like
Carolina.
it's so open. Like, they've got cap room, they've got prospects, they've got their picks, they've got the extra picks from the Rantanen trade. And I mean, Trocheck would have been a great addition there. I'm sure there was a couple other guys. And when you think there's no Florida, the Leafs aren't there, New Jersey was supposed to be good, they're not going to be in the playoffs.
Well,
I mean,
maybe that's why, Hustler. Maybe that they think they can get to the conference final playing the Islanders or whoever, or Pittsburgh.
Well, they do every year, but they lose in the conference final. I think the goal would be to get past that for once.
And in Stankoven's your 2C, you're not winning. I'm sorry, you're not beating any of the teams coming out of the Atlantic with Stankoven as your 2C. Kakanyemi is 3 or 4C. It's just, you're right. But it's just, that's a team that you know is legit and can go deep. Nashville, like, what are you doing? Like, now you're going to trade these guys in the offseason. So if you missed the postseason by 4 points, what was the point? Like, why don't you move those players in a seller's market? I don't understand what Trotz is doing. They really need to get a legit GM in there because he really caused a lot more harm than good by what he did here at the deadline.
Well, huge night tonight in the NHL. We'll be hoping that those Predators can make something happen against Seattle. And maybe we can see this gap close a little bit more. Dennis, always love having you on the show. Take it easy, dude. We'll do this again soon.
Likewise, Hustle. Keep hope alive.
Appreciate it. There's Dennis Bernstein. Speaking of hope, how about hoping to be Manitoba's next millionaire, gang? There's still time to get your tickets for the St. Boniface Hospital Mega Million Choices Lottery. Go to stbemegamillionchoices.ca and grab your tickets. The grand prize is a choice of one of five $1.5 million dream home options or $1.25 million cash. It all goes to support the very important research and work of the St. Boniface Hospital right here in our city. You can pick up tickets in London Drugs as well as Red River Co-op locations if you want to get them in person, or go today right now to stbemegamillionchoices.ca and grab your tickets and count yourselves in for the grand prize draw. All right, Mike McIntyre is on deck. He'll join us right after these on Winnipeg Sports Talk. I do want to thank our friends at Princess Auto for their wonderful support of WST. Won't be too long before we're back at Princess Auto Stadium cheering on the Bombers. In the meantime, Princess Auto serving Canadians coast to coast with the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list or start something new waiting for you at Princess Auto. So pop by and see them, Panet Road, Portage Avenue West, out in Brandon, or you can shop online 24/7, 365 over at princessauto.com. The snowmobile season continues to be an amazing one. A little more snow last night, and a lot of people will be hitting the trails on the weekend. Our pals at Chud's Power Sports are dominating the snowmobile season, and right now they have just started the Polaris 2027 Snow Check program up at Chud's in Gimli at the corner of Highway 8 and 231. It's for pre-ordering the new snowmobile models for next year. If you pre-order, you get the best deal of the year on the new models, plus an extra 2-year warranty for a total of 3 years instead of just the normal 1 year, $250 in free accessories, and the golden ticket, which will give them $1,000 off the 2028 Snow Check if they want to trade up to 27. It runs now until March 13th. The header is running on the website at chudspowersports.com. So get on over to that, and while you're at it, you can start thinking about spring with bikes and ATVs and RVs, because Chud's has it all. The power sports superstore in Manitoba for over 80 years. Got to thank Donnie and the gang at Manitoba Battery. Continue to get just always getting great comments from our listeners and customers that have found Manitoba Battery through WST. Shopping local, beating the pants off the big box stores and really anywhere else you're going to get batteries. And of course, the best in service. They'll put it in for you. They'll give you a free battery test if you're wondering if you need a new one. And right now, you want to get through this winter for car and truck batteries. But as we get into boats and ATVs and, of course, sleds, Manitoba Battery has it all. 2 Winnipeg locations, Logan Avenue, Dovercourt Drive out on the south side. And, of course, you can also order online. They do deliver anywhere inside the perimeter of the city of Winnipeg. You can order online today at manitobabattery.com. All right, let's bring in Mike McIntyre of the Winnipeg Free Press as we get ready for the 7:30 puck drop tonight at Canada Life Center. Mike, what's going on? How are you?
I'm good, Huss. By the way, what's that all about? Do we know why they're dropping? I don't know. Do you know?
We did. Okay, we were asking, and it's been brought up. I guess tonight there is guess what? Lame Toronto and Montreal. The Habs and the Leafs are playing. It's a nationally televised game at 6 o'clock. So because of that, I believe Sportsnet has a rule that non-Sportsnet games cannot start at the same time. So they had to delay it by 30 minutes. Almost positive that is. It's a little bit of a schedule quirk. If you notice, most of the national games are normally on the Wednesday nights. Yeah. And, on quieter nights, Jets are often, if they're at home, they're playing Tuesday and Thursday. Yep. But in this case, with 13 games on, they're doing the national game at 7 our time. So we wait an extra. It's like the good old days in 1.0 with 7:30 starts. Haven't had one of those for a long time.
Well, The one difference being back in the good old days of 1.0, I was just a wee kid dreaming of one day maybe being a sports writer. Now I'm a sports writer with a hard deadline of like 10:15 for the print edition, which 7:30. All I'll say is this, Huss, this game better not go to overtime or a shootout, or you may see a laptop computer come flying out of the press box in anger tonight.
Well, I've got bad news for you, Mike. It is 3-point season in the NHL,
Yes.
and I don't think any team might epitomize that more than the Jets coming out of the break.
5 out of 6?
Exactly. 5 out of 6. The one time that they, and it's kind of bizarre if you'd said, oh, what would be the game that didn't go to overtime that they would win? You would have ranked every one of the other games higher than the Tampa game last week. But, I mean, just thoughts on this. Like, I'll be honest, I still realize that we're talking about a 14, 15% chance, but the fact that they're 5 points out after being 11 like a week and a half ago, it's kind of stunning how things have fallen into place for them on the out-of-town scoreboard, and the fact that even not playing their best and squeezing out a bunch of these overtime games, they are where they are today as we go into this game. And I'm kind of back in on caring about every game right now for the Jets.
Well, I put me in the camp of people that thought we were going to be covering, a month-long funeral for this hockey
100%.
team. So at the very least, even if the end result is ultimately the same, at the very least, they've injected some meaning, some excitement into these games. And, I was looking at this 8-game homestand at one point, Haas, like prior to the Olympic break, thinking, my goodness, like it's going to be like a library at the rink, given where the team was at. And if those games didn't have any kind of meaning or emotional punch to them. So they've changed their fortunes, and credit to them. This is a team that was finding ways to lose a lot of these tight games earlier in the year. And, if they could have maybe found a way to do what they've done in the last couple of weeks, which is turn some of these tight games into wins, they wouldn't be in this predicament. And yeah, you have to applaud the Jets. I thought for my money that Tampa victory was probably the win of the year this season, given what the Jets had in terms of their roster and who they were facing. There was maybe a bit of an emotional letdown against a Canucks team that, let's face it, is not very good. But the Jets, just like they did against Chicago earlier in the week, they turn a fairly late deficit into 2 points. And that's just something they were not doing. And all of a sudden, the Jets, they're good in overtime again, Huss. And probably not a coincidence that Josh Morrissey being back, it obviously changes the look of this team. It changes the look of the team at 5-on-5, changes the look at the team on the power play, and certainly in 3-on-3 overtime, as we saw the other night. So, yeah, they've made life interesting. And, if you're looking at the numbers here, Huss, like the Jets, they only have 4 regulation losses in their last 20. They've collected 27 points. They have 20 games left. If they were to collect another 27 points in these final 20, the same way they have in the previous 20, that would give them 89. That is right at the projected cutoff line for that second wild card spot. So it shows you the margin for error is extremely slim, because let's face it, not only are the Jets trying to chase down and pass Seattle, who holds that spot, they also have to overtake Nashville, San Jose, and Los Angeles, the 3 teams that are also in front of them, but out of the playoff spot. So they're kind of chasing 4 teams, not just one. Yeah. But they were chasing like 7 teams a couple weeks ago. So they've made it interesting. This is a big one tonight for sure. You look at the rest of this homestand, there's 5 games left on it. They're going to face a pair of division leaders in the next 3 games, right? Anaheim tonight, Colorado obviously on Saturday. The other 3 games, Rangers, Nashville, one of the teams they're trying to chase, and St. Louis, who's been pretty hot lately and is right behind them. I would mark those down as those are must-win games against those three teams. If you could beat one of Anaheim and Colorado.
Oh, listen, this one is too, Mike. Make no mistake about it. A loss tonight to the Ducks. I mean, look, we just said there's 20 games left.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say this: the 89. I still don't think that actually gets it done. Like, it's probably going to be like 92. So you're talking about getting 30 points in a possible 40.
That's 15-5, yeah.
Yeah, so every single point you leave on the table is one of those. And listen, to their credit, like you talk about actually winning in overtime, one of the other things that they're doing is getting to overtime, even when they haven't played particularly well. Like, and I think back to keep going back to December in that, month of misery into the new year, where, I mean, they'd have 2-goal leads and find ways to lose in regulation. And that's really what has killed them. So, but the bottom line is even during that point, this team never quit. And this is why when I talk to people about, well, they should tank, like I say, well, okay, what are you proposing they do?
Right. Yeah.
Like, are we're benching Hellebuck for the rest of the year and Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor are in the fourth line? Sorry, that's not happening. Like, these guys, this team, and say what you will about the season that they've had, the talent on the team is too good to have been as bad as they were. And they're going to win some games. Yep. I mean, you have to hope that, like happened in 2016, when they did shut down a bunch of guys at the end of the year and won 6 in a row to finish, and all the same people were freaking out, got a little rewarded by the hockey gods and got that number 2 overall pick, which, by the way, if you want to go to the trade tree of that pick from Line A, it's Gabriel Velarde. It's also Elias Salmonson.
Yeah. Wow.
He was the pick from the Habs that came over in that trade. And of course, Alex Iafallo as well. So bottom line is, I mean, I get it. I think it would have been negligence if they didn't trade the guys that they did, including Tanner Pearson, to open up a spot for like a Brad Lambert to come in. And I mean, because as much as it is tonight, let's see what happens. Can they get back into it? These final 20 games is also about moving past what we saw for the first half of the season and get them ready to avoid that next year, and certainly put the younger players like a Rosine, who's going to get a run for a while, and Lambert, hopefully in a spot to contribute next year, because we all know, we saw it in the first half of the season, this team needed to get younger, and it sure as hell needed to get faster.
Yeah, and that was an interesting topic of discussion down at the morning skate today. We naturally, like Scott Arniel was asked what's been the key recently right away. He said, we're playing quicker, we're playing faster. And Kyle Connor especially, I thought, who doesn't always say, a whole lot that's revealing. I thought it was really interesting to hear Kyle Connor, as candid as he was today. I'm not going to go so far as to say he took a shot at his GM for the way that this roster was constructed, but one could almost read into some of his comments about the makeup of the team now compared to what they had been, and kind of view it that way.
Well, Mike, here, and by the way, I'm mixing up the Swedish defenseman picked in the second round. It's Alphonse Frey. Alphonse Frey, and Salmonson's actually from the Cop trade. Another good bit of business done by Kevin Cheveldale,
along with Morgan Barron.
But yeah, exactly. Which it's kind of funny when you look back to particular trades, what that's meant for this roster right now.
And don't forget, Huss, Andrew Kopp was a pure rental. He didn't even sign an extension; like, he was gone. That was a steep price the New York Rangers paid, and you almost wonder if Cheveldayoff has pulled another one of those off with the Stanley Fen trade. Like, if Logan Stanley ends up being just a rental for the Sabres and goes on to sign with another team in the summer, and depending on how long the Buffalo playoff run lasts, heck, he's not even in the lineup for a third straight game tonight because of visa issues. So the return on their investment is potentially getting shorter with each passing
Listen,
day.
don't worry about the Buffalo Sabres. They're just fine. And as long as Logan Stanley is good to go on April 6th back in Buffalo for the rematch against the Tampa Bay Lightning, they'll be more than happy with that. Okay, let's get back. This is the clip from Connor today. Who was asked about having Lambert up, the addition of Rosine, and his thoughts on just the way this team is now as opposed to where they were before.
Definitely a different deadline than we've had in the years past, and it doesn't hold back and restrict this team from pushing to be the best team that we possibly can. We realized we're in a position to, with 20 games left, to push for that last spot and get in the playoffs, and that's where we all want to be. It's all about getting hot at the right time, and once you're in, anything can happen. We've seen that throughout the year, so we're really focusing on that. And the young guys, it helps us play a lot quicker and faster, and that's we've talked about that all year being a focus for us of our lack of speed and lack of pace to some of the game, and I think these guys help us out.
Yeah. So Mike, I mean the pace of the game is everything. Now, listen, no one was ever worried about the pace of the game when KFC's on the ice, but this team was slow. It was plodding at times.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm not saying that just by moving Tanner Pearson out, who actually I thought in the last 15 games or so was pretty serviceable. But the bottom line is, and I'd said this before, and just watch what happens at the trade deadline when they make these moves, and we'll see what comes back. But I mean, having Rosine in, having Lambert in, some young guys with a lot to prove, bringing some juice into the lineup.
Yep.
This is not going to make the Jets a worse team right now, as long as they can kind of get through on the back end. Which, listen, loved Stan, loved the season that he had, and everything like that. But man, it's given Elias Salmonson a chance to really establish himself as a regular, everyday guy that is very capable, as we're seeing, of playing top 4 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, you wonder what this team looks like if Pionk can come back in, as well as how the defense pairing looks, because I'll tell you what, like Connor mentioned yesterday, I don't see a big urgency to break up Salomonsson and Sandberg, to be perfectly honest.
No, I don't. And that's where you wonder, would they consider Neil Pionk with Josh Morrissey and you move DeMello all the way down?
Thought about that yesterday.
Third pair. I think that would certainly be an option that they would consider. To me, that's the first time Kyle Connor might be the first player that's kind of said the quiet part out loud, which was, we've talked about the Jets being too slow, not playing with enough pace. I haven't really heard a player say it the way Kyle framed it like he did this morning. And, it's like you said, Kyle Connor is a guy who he plays with a lot of pace and speed. I don't think he's unhappy about having more players in the lineup. And, there's some other clips from him as well where he talked about the ability to transition the puck out of their own end and, how they're moving through the neutral zone faster. Again, a lot of that has to do with what you have on the blue line. So again, when you go from Schenn and Stanley as your third pair to what we saw the other night, Huss, which is Fleury and Bryson, both those guys have wheels. Not the biggest, they're certainly don't have the size or the toughness that Schenn and Stanley gave you, but they do have motors. And, the Jets looked really fast against Vancouver. They created a lot as a result of that. And tonight will be a really good test, Huss, because they are facing, to me, one of the fastest, certainly youngest, most skilled teams in the league. And, the Ducks are a team, they like to get in track meets with their opponents. Certainly in the two previous meetings that Winnipeg has had with Anaheim, I think that speed of the Ducks has given the Jets all kinds of fits. But to me, the Jets are probably a little better equipped to handle it now going forward. Does that mean they're going to win every game? Of course not. They've lost, obviously, some experience in the lineup, certainly some grit and some toughness, but they've really changed the way they look and potentially the way they can play.
Mike, I brought this up yesterday, and maybe it was because I was still buzzing from that Tampa Buffalo game on Sunday.
Yeah.
But we saw a lot of teams add some tougher players. Carolina did it. Minnesota's been doing it. I mean, seemingly every deal they make, they're trying to bring a guy with size and muscle in. And obviously that was what Buffalo was looking for from the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, listen, if they lose a few of these games coming up, I think there won't be really a lot of intensity in that final dozen games. But if they're able to do their part and all of a sudden be playing like high leverage, intense games, basically playing a playoff game every night,
right?
I think that level of physicality and toughness actually is going to all of a sudden really be missed. Chevy mentioned Tyrell Bauer getting a call up, and he certainly deserves it. And he's going to play a couple games at some point this season. But if we get to that scenario that I just laid out, might we see Bauer in the lineup sooner as opposed to later? And might we see the Jets potentially go 11-7 in some games and, give Bauer 5 or 6 minutes and particular assignments that he would be perfect for, so your captain, Adam Lowry, doesn't have to be really that one guy? Or the other side of things is maybe it's exactly what this team needs, in that it's literally a personal challenge to a lot of guys that don't really have a lot of bite in their game to, you know what, we're going to need to stand up. Because I'll tell you right now, if this team ever wants to be playing in those sort of games against the Floridas, the Tampas, Minnesota, Colorado, it's not just one or two guys that needs to be kind of add that toughness. And it's not just about fighting, but it's certainly about matching the challenge, the physical challenge. And listen, we saw it last year in that St. Louis series, maybe as much as any playoff series in a long time. So it's not like a lot of these players haven't been in there, but I think you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Like, if there could be a development of this team, regardless of whether they make or miss the playoffs, I would love to see that come out a little bit more of this team, because I think if they had a little bit more of that, they would never have been in this situation to begin with.
Well, and there's another guy, I'll throw the name out, Huss, and we've seen him a little bit. He's not here right now, but the Jets do not have any extra forwards in the fold. And I would imagine at the Moose are off to Abbotsford now, so that's a quick flight away. But I imagine by next week, when the Jets head back out on the road, they're going to want another forward. And I got to think Walker Dewar is probably the guy that's going to come back, because, Walker Dewar, no, he's not a quote goon or even really a tough guy, but he does play physical, and he brought that element to their bottom six, certainly on the forecheck, playing a bit of a heavier style. So I think that he's a guy that probably, now for folks who maybe are wondering, well, why isn't he here right now? The Jets and all NHL teams, they have to be a bit judicious in how they use their call-ups following the trade deadline. There's a limit on how many guys you can bring up, and you don't want to necessarily burn them all at once. And I think for the Jets, part of it, Huss, is I imagine they're waiting to see exactly what direction the rest of the season takes. The longer they maybe stay in the playoff fight, that might change the way they use call-ups versus completely out of it, just looking completely at next year. Maybe that's where a Braden Yeager or a Colby Barlow gets a game or two, not unlike what they did a couple years ago with Lambert and, Chibrikov, to give those guys a taste, versus guys that maybe are more designed to help you win right now if they're staying in the fight, and if you run into some injuries or performance and you want to sub guys in. So I think that's part of it. So Walker Dewar can add some physicality. I do agree. Tyrell Bauer is very likely going to get some games here. And, you just look at Colorado. You mentioned, Huss. Jets, Colorado always seem to have a lot of fireworks. There's physicality when they play 3 times over the next, 3 weeks. Are you telling me by that third game, there's going to be a serious hate-on between those two teams? And, those games could still have a lot of meaning for both teams. Colorado's trying to stave off Dallas and Minnesota, and the Jets are, of course, trying to stay in the fight. So yeah, how quickly do we see Terrell Bauer? I'm not entirely sure. One thing I can say is we asked for injury updates today on the 4 guys that are out in Pionk, Miller, Niederreiter, and Messickov. None of those 4 players are imminent in returning. The best we got today is that Niederreiter and Nemestikov both skated on their own, but these are still early days for them. I'm not sure, Huss, if I would be counting on any of those guys to be back much before the end of the season, if at all. I mean, again, this may be where, depending on what happens with the team, rather than potentially rush a Neil Pionk back, I mean, if all of a sudden you're now completely out of the race, do you just, now you have maybe the luxury of some additional time, you don't rush them back? Like, I don't know. So it's possible that none of those guys could be back anytime soon. And yeah, the Jets, I mean, right now, Billy Hainel is the only healthy scratch tonight. So there is certainly some room on this roster to bring in some additional bodies.
Mike, great stuff. We'll look forward to the game tonight and all of your work covering it in the pages of the Winnipeg Free Press. Have a good one, and thanks as always.
You bet, Huss. Remember, we want a regulation victory tonight.
Listen, it's right, and for more reasons than one.
Yeah.
For more reasons than one. Not a game. Yeah. Regulation win tonight. You can just hope for the game. We don't care about just stop being so self-centered. We're looking for wins right now. Thank you very much. Okay, take it easy, pal.
Enjoy the week.
You got it. Here's one more clip from Kyle Connor. And this is, again, talking about the players that they've come in, but also just what this team's been able to do over the course of this 6-game point streak that they're on.
Playing quicker. It starts with our breakouts in our own zone. When we have possession, getting the wingers out, kind of stretching the zone allows us to, create that space for our centerman. Is doing a great job coming low and slow and helping our D-men out. And, you're cleaner with the breakouts. It helps speed up everywhere on the ice.
All right, so there's Kyle Connor. I think Kyle scores tonight. Cool bet line's coming up in a minute. We're going to do a special for the Jets game tonight, which includes a KFC goal. All right, Geoff Fienberg is ready to go to join us. He will join us in just a moment after these on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Clean Line is your one-stop shop with over 40 years of experience for the best in Winnipeg residential and commercial plumbing, heating, and electrical services. And much like the Captain Adam Lowry, they've got you covered 24/7 with emergency services. Remember the number, 204-500-2001 for Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, Electrical for all your needs, residential, commercial, and when you're in a jam. The gang at BP is ready to welcome Jet fans back. Head to your local BP Jets Pick a Player contest for all Winnipeg Jet games. And, of course, those ice-cold schooners, world-famous BP wings, gourmet pizzas, and more. Staying at home, you can always get the great taste of BP by ordering online at bostonpizza.com. And got to shout out our friends at Royal, what a run they had with the Olympic Games. Now we look ahead to the Stanley Cup playoffs, of course, and baseball season. Tons of new Jays and MLB gear coming in by the day. And as everyone's getting ready to maybe get out of town in and around spring break, don't forget Royal's amazing snowboard department with the best in deals on boots, bindings, decks, you name it. They've got it with the experts to help you get the right fit before you hit the slopes. It's all waiting for you at Royal Sports, 750 Pembina Highway. Follow them on Instagram at the latest merchandise drops and sale information. Let's give a big cheers to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, we got NFL free agency and the Players' Championship to talk about. Let's bring in my man, Geoff Fienberg. You can see him weekly on the Mayo Media Network, entertaining the masses. Dude, what's going on? How are you?
Huss, always a good time to drop by, talk some golf, talk some football. I'm doing great. The weather is, starting to turn. Things are looking up. Golf season starting to get around the corner. I'm not a simulator guy myself, so I'm a bit rusty. But all the simmy bros, it's can feel it. Time to get outside.
Well, and you know what, too? I mean, we've kind of had a moratorium on any baseball or Blue Jays talk from the way the World Series ended. But I got to tell you, WBC's going on right now, and I'm looking forward to a new baseball season as well. What's the buzz like in Toronto? I mean, it was such a magical year that obviously ended in heartbreak, but I kind of have a feeling, at least outside of the city, around the country, that the Jays just elevated themselves to a whole nother level amongst average sports fans. I mean, are you starting to feel people looking forward to the boys of summer getting back once spring training's done?
So I've enjoyed some WBC. It just feels like a different type of baseball. I'm not saying like better than normal baseball, but certainly like it's entertaining, and it's like I'll watch it like I wouldn't watch spring training. As for the Blue Jays, Huss, maybe like I think people are excited, but as I told you, like I think I'm still in a dark place. So I don't know. I'm not talking to anyone about it. I'm not getting the vibe. I share tickets with about a bunch of guys, get my handful of games. Like I picked them, and I my wife will be able to take friends early in the season because I don't know, like I'm still like so beaten down. It's actually so embarrassing. Maybe I should go speak to someone. I'm not kidding. I'm not excited for the season. I hope, like, I'm sure they're definitely have an elevated profile, but I'm also paranoid. I watched before they were good. I was like deep in it always. And last year, everything went right. The amount of like bloop singles, dribblers up the middle, like at the perfect time in so many games, oh, like, I don't know, baseball. I'm just so paranoid the worm will turn for them. But yeah, I like eating that stadium popcorn too much, Huss. I'll get back there. Don't worry.
You got to get a couple of those Tuesday night games and crush 9 dogs and, win or lose. It is a great night.
I am excited. Say that I'm starting to smile. I do like the addition. I think we'll get a little more pop on the offense. I'm excited for the defense. I don't think it'll be like too much of a downgrade over Bo. So I'm still like a Homer fanboy. If I'm saying like I don't think we're gonna miss Bo that much with our new friend from the Pacific Rim, manning the hot corner and bringing that big bat.
Yeah, I'm pumped for Okada. Just the entire. It's just going to be good to get baseball back, and the expectations will be a lot better for the Jays this year. But I know that around here, and maybe it's part of just trying to get out of this damn winter, and obviously it hasn't been a great hockey season around here. But we're talking a little bit more about the upcoming season. Listen, I want to get to golf with you for a minute, but thoughts on the first day of I guess not official free agency, but for all intents and purposes, free agency is open. Well, if there was ever, if we ever needed a definitive moment for the decision to be made on your guy Herbert versus Tua decision, we have that. He's been cut, and they're swallowing $100 million on the cap this year. It is kind of a mind-blowing number, but a move for the Dolphins, and of course he's going to go lefty with Penix for Stefanski and ATL.
So, let's put this away. I thought the Herbert thing, like, it's even embarrassing to bring up. And Herbert's not a perfect quarterback either. Like, there are flaws there, and there's still growing pains that are unfortunately still happening. But no, that is long dead. I do believe the Dolphins may have split it up by cutting him, by making him a June 1 designation, Huss. I believe it's now going to be, they've split it up into about 67% of it this year, the rest next year. It'd be really hard to almost field any sort of a competitive team under that circumstance. But, there's playmakers there, a run game. he could get in a game, like, maybe save them for a bit. If Penix has any sort of long-term injury situation, that would be a big problem. But, I don't know what made them feel like they had to sign that contract. They could have strung that thing out. Between the health and his inability to make plays on the second level, or once plays broke down, I should say, they should have waited that out. They paid top of market when they could have literally just done that. Between that and the franchise tag, the 5th-year option and the franchise tag, Huss, they could have kicked that can down the road a couple years.
The biggest news was actually from Friday night. Max Crosby leaving the AFC West and moving to the AFC North. My first thought was about Joe Burrow. I mean, this guy can't get any protection to begin with in Cincinnati. And now on top of TJ Watt twice a year, Myles Garrett twice a year, he gets Max Crosby on that Buffalo pass rush, or Baltimore pass rush. What do you think about the Ravens right now? And how much has Joe Burrow's life insurance premiums gone up since Friday night?
Emo Joe Burrow. He's not just Joe Burrow, his little sad attitude last year, and so he's emo Burrow to me. And if I'm a
played some
Bengals
blackjack with Jessica Alba on the weekend, so
if I'm a Bengals fan, it would scare me. But I tell you, Mr. Brown, the owner of that thing, I swear to you, Huss, he would tell him to retire before he would trade him. And they reneged on Carson Palmer. I swear to you, on that old. He will not. Joe Burrow will retire before Mr. Brown, I believe, would trade him. He would tell him, I will eat it. I believe that. So that's for a different story. Jesse Minter, brilliant new coach in Baltimore. But I mean, it just dawned on me the other day. It should have dawned on me earlier. And by the other day, I mean Saturday morning, the pressure he's on now. I mean, Lamar Jackson as your quarterback. You've pretty much traded, the warehouse and picks. And why I do not like these trades is because it's not 2 draft picks for one player. It essentially turns into a 5-for-1, Huss. Between the money, a 6 or 7 to 1. Baltimore didn't re-sign anybody yesterday, right? And they've got their comp pick formula. I love Max Crosby. He's amazing. The Ravens are a top team in the conference, so maybe that alone should tell you it's worth it. But there's not a great track record in the NFL of these trades panning out. And it'll really squeeze the depth of the team. But that's the give and take. You give the Ravens credit for being bold and making a move like this. And I'm afraid when I look at that Raiders pick sheet, Huss, the amount of times they're going to the podium, not just with those Ravens picks. Let's just hope Tom Brady, trying to be GM and president from Miami and on the road all year. Let's just hope for as great of a player is, he's just going to be like Michael Jordan, the owner.
Yeah. Wayne Gretzky, the coach,
Yeah. Right. Because if he's going to try to do it as a fly by night thing, not fully there, not there every day, sort of just get reports from Alex Guerrero, his personal trainer, or his eyes and ears. I'm hoping it'll backfire. That's but I'm nervous with the pick slate that they're gonna have for a few years.
It's hilarious that you bring up Guerrero, because he was this sort of shadowy figure during the whole New England time, and now you're not joking. I mean, he, by all reports, is sort of Brady's eyes and ears around the organization without even an official job while he's gone. And I'm here for bringing some of that dysfunction into Vegas, although it's not like that team could have had any more. I will say this about the Raiders. I got a real soft spot for Mendoza. I thought that story was just incredible. And, you listen to the guy talk, and he's such an easy guy to root for. It's going to be tough to wish him nothing but ill will once he puts on the silver and black in a few months.
Yeah, that's how the cookie crumbles, Huss. But yeah, it's going to be a hard guy to dislike, and he's coming into a, maybe it's not so bad there, right? They paid a fortune for the center, but that takes a big load off Mendoza. He won't have to make the pre-snap calls now for a couple years until he's fully comfortable, or all the protections. You can now fully hand that off to Linderbaum, and a running back that could be elite. They've got Brock Bowers there. Maybe avoid a leadership, but they signed a few guys, that can take that mantle. You just hope that the Raiders remain dysfunctional, but it's possibly being set up, this time to be done right as we make fun of Brady. Maybe they will be able to fully execute this. Mendoza's a good guy, but once he puts on that jersey, Huss, you can only hope he's a lemon.
Yeah, it was funny, in the division. I mean, the Chiefs had a good day. I was pumped that Kenneth Walker's coming in. They basically freed up that money with the McDuffie trade. So the Chiefs are going to have some picks. Sort of feels like 22, kind of moving on from Tyreek and having a ton of picks to shore up the defense. And of course, my guy Kelsey's coming back for one more year.
You guys signed former Charger who they traded this year, Alohi Gilman.
I was just going to ask you about that guy.
Yeah, he can. I was a big fan. I mean, that was a great trade the Chargers made. They brought in Odafe Owe, who got paid $100 million yesterday, and was great for the Chargers in the second half of last year. But Gilman's a baller. I was a big fan, and I'm not going to lie, Huss. When I saw that one come through the wire, I was like, last time you took one from my defense, it was Drew Tranquil, and I didn't like that one. And that one has bothered me for a few years is Drew. I don't think he's very good, but he's so goddamn clutch. He makes so many clutch plays, don't get full credit. I never wanted to see him leave. These ones always bother me, but he's a good player. You guys are going to like him. He delivers the hammer.
Yeah, a lot of people,
Gilman.
Yeah, he was only 28 years old. I mean, kind of helped stabilize that Ravens defense going over there after his time in LA. And I mean, Kelsey, he had to come back. I mean, I was at that last game, Week 18, Chiefs Raiders in Vegas. There's no way you can finish your Hall of Fame career catching passes from Ola Kawande against the worst team in the league with Mahomes not even in the building. And I'll say this for Kelsey, too. He's getting married at the beginning of June. Having one final year to kind of transition from being NFL player into being Taylor Swift's husband, as opposed to going from 0 to 60 on that, I think will be great on the family side. Quickly, what's the latest on the Bolts? How are you feeling about their offseason?
I was excited early. They got a few things done before free agency even started, Huss. A lot of cap room. And then, some things have happened sort of later in the day that I'm not too thrilled about. But there's still a lot of cap room. I believe they're just going to add a lot of depth. I'm fired up about Mike McDaniel, Huss. And I don't know if that scares my rivals.
I wanted him too. I was fine with that. I mean, I'm cool with EB coming back and getting the band back together for sort of a last dance, if you will. But I was hoping that they would be interested in. I mean, he was
a guy that they're going to be able to create a bit of an easy button for Herbert, who excels sort of in the fire alarm situations. But he bailed the team out time and time again. But there weren't enough easy buttons in the offense. And anyone that watches ball regularly knows what I mean. That doesn't mean it'll be every play. But a few times a game where there is just you won that thing on the whiteboard with the play call, before the snap was even made. It honestly never felt that way for the Chargers. So that's exciting. And just, knowing that, fingers crossed, Rashawn Slater, Joe Alt, two what I believe essentially all pro tackles, keeping the quarterback upright. They lost just the two new coordinators. So it's also a bit of a learning curve, which I'm nervous about. But Vegas tells me to be excited, Huss. I look at those Super Bowl odds. They're 6th, 7th on the tout. Obviously, for all the criticisms about Justin Herbert, you're not going to find an MVP number on him, above 12, 14 to 1. So, I'm fired up. I'm smiling. The waiver wire, the free agent wire hasn't been as kind for the cap room. That being said, I'm naive enough to believe there's something up their sleeve here. Maybe even something big, maybe even on the trade front.
Well, let's see it. I'm sure we'll have time.
There's rumors they're in these AJ Brown conversations, but again, I'm stubborn with the picks. I like to just, I don't know. I would make for a horrible GM. We'd leave it at that.
Let's talk some golf. It is a the not quite fifth major, the Players this week. But hey, before that, you and Pat got a chance to go down last week. Regular listeners know during these slow days, especially Mondays post-football, I've been all in on the TGL. I absolutely love it as a TV product, fun to bet on. And I was watching, was it last week, Tom Kim with the epic hole-in-one? And you were in the building. What was the TGL experience like?
Yeah, so I was in the building, Huss, me and your boy, Travis Kelce, hanging out.
I saw you dap him up and say gold bolts, by the way. That was hilarious.
Oh, listen, you could see. And Jason Kelce, like, I know he's part of the broadcast, but that guy's even working the room, like the crowd during commercials. You could make the case Jason Kelce, like, hyper overexposed. But I tell you, when you pay his rate, he gives you 120%. So I was impressed with that. And the Kelsey's got to play around in there after. But yes, I was there at TGL. It's truly like a technological marvel in their, Hustler. Like, it is so impressive. It's a TV studio. It's like a warehouse, and there's like seats, really good seats, like a couple small levels. But it's almost like essentially like what I would imagine an American Gladiators like spacing or studio might have looked like, right? Like, that's really what it is. And after being in there for 7 hours, you step outside. I was in there for 7 hours. I got to spend the day there, meet with the people. The events are like just 2 hours, bang, bang, good for TV. But you step outside and you're like disoriented, like leaving the casino or the strip club. Like, and you get like fresh air on your face again. But it is truly like a technological, like, overload when you are in there. It is very impressive what they have built. And I was there the night the Jupiter Lynx came back, 3 down, 3 to play. The Tiger pre-shot hammer throw, Tom Kim hole-in-one. I have the media credentials, so we're in the Tom Kim beers on the hole-in-one beers, free beers after as well. It was a fun night. It was a fun night, definitely. And seeing like Tiger Woods get that excited for something someone else does in simulator golf was like almost the thing I took with me from that evening.
What was that low-key hilarious of that whole thing was then that Kiz had to make it happen on the final hole, and he was a par 5. He had to go for 3. He got it done. Oh, Remis okay, folks, this is what I was talking about with Travis Kelce and Fienberg at the TGL.
What up, Travis, boss? How we doing, man? Go Bolts. Go.
Just a little ricochet shot there at the end.
He's doing all right. You know, he can take that.
Damn right.
Trust me, he always gets the last laugh on my ass. Don't worry.
Let's get to the players. Akshay coming off a big win at Bay Hill. Rory WD. Everyone's freaking out. Is he going to play? How difficult has it been to get the card set up for Thursday morning?
The card has not been hard to get set up, Huss, because I was pretty active early in the futures. By futures, I mean a lot of the books had odds for this thing up last week. And, I got some Ludwig 45, Cam Young 50, Minwoo 80, and I'd been sitting on a big Bridgman one for a few weeks. So most of the card was already built. But that doesn't mean there weren't tough decisions to be made. And I tell you, it's about to get expensive. Because, I don't want to say, but like as a golf bettor, usually I'm so timid and afraid of Rory and Scotty. And now for a moment, they both kind of feel a little vulnerable. Don't worry. I know I'm going to learn my lesson, but I'll learn it on Sunday responsibly. Right now having to make the bets. Scotty, he's priced 4.5 to 1. He is playing like the Scotty Scheffler that should be like 14 to 1. 12 to 1. The difference between his approach play last year was he was a half stroke better than Victor Hovland, who was second. Okay, that was the margin between him and Victor. And then Victor, who was in second, a half stroke, you'd get, if you took a half stroke off Victor, he would be like 100th. That's how close it was and how much he separated himself. he is pretty much like his approach is pretty much like almost a full stroke off right now. Yeah, we're going to the players. He's won it twice. It's like a perfect golf course for him. Will he wake up? Like, of course. Will it be this week? I don't know. Am I willing to bet against it? Yeah. And as for Rory, I mean, it's simple. They withdrew with a back injury. We're talking about Rory McIlroy. He is in incredible shape. If he, like, anyone should be able to get over a back injury quickly. As when they has them, they can come, they can go, they're vicious. I'm just saying, when you're in the shape Rory's in, like, you don't get what, like, us, dad bods get. Oh, man. And apparently the early reports on the grounds is like it's still, like, bulky. I don't know, in back injury terms. So that just makes me feel maybe they're vulnerable. And just a quick note on Scotty Huss. I don't know about you, but when you're the best player in the world by, like, a definitive gap, and we give you that, I do not enjoy your antics on the course. You're like acting like almost Jordan Spieth, like shocked when a putt doesn't go in, like as if it's anyone else's fault but yours. Launching balls into woods, into the water. When you're I enjoy that, and call me a hypocrite. It's like Hatton does it, we love it. Lowry does it, like we make jokes. But when you're the best, it just feels different. When you're trying to get to be the best, I have a lot higher tolerance than those antics, like when you're truly the best. That being said, yeah, I'm ready to lose some money this week on golfers.
Hey, I mean, outside of Scheffler and Rory, which are obviously the two favorites, Morikawa has been phenomenal this year, and his irons, you want to talk about approaches, have been absolutely dialed in. Your boy Ludwig had a real nice week at Bay Hill, and it looks like he's sort of over whatever was getting him. A lot of action on him. Tommy, of course, who's been really good. Siwoo Kim's fourth on the board. What did I miss something? I mean, it's just, I guess he's been competitive earlier this year, but I'll be honest. I was expecting Siwoo maybe to be down with Minwoo Lee and Hideki and that, not like as short as like 20-1.
Well, and I'll tell you, on the show I did on Monday morning out of the gates with Pat Mayo, there were certain sites that had him at like 40, and I just stared at it. He's been the data guys are obsessed. Like, his statistical profile is unconscious, and he's won here, so you assume it would be a comfort place. That's really what that's about. But now the price is like just absurd. And I don't want to like say anything bad because, you'll just clip it when he wins, but I'm not in on this. Morikawa, another guy I woke up thinking I'd want to bet and I didn't, and his prices have kind of tumbled. And for obvious reasons, you laid them out. No one in that tier beyond Scotty and Rory are playing as well as Morikawa. He got that win at Pebble, and the ball striking has just been incredible. And you know what's shocking, Huss? You go look at like Bay Hill and off the tee and distance and like where Morikawa ranked versus the field, he was like like in the top 30. So like he's clearly gained speed, he's gained distance. And if he has like distance, I mean, he seems like a happy guy. You know me, there's low-hanging fruit jokes with Colin Morikawa. He's not my favorite guy. It would sort of be exhausting to think of him as a major champion. Oh my God. But I mean, he is ripping the ball perfectly. And if you think Scotty and Rory might be vulnerable, Xander, we know it'll happen, but like we haven't seen it. Tommy, for all I love him, and now I'm seeing 30s, I'm kind of tempted. I get why it'd be hard to trust. Morikawa is the guy. In one and dones, which you make the case, it is the most important week of the year. The payout is the biggest this week, the biggest purse in golf. I believe he'll be the most popular selection.
That is that's I can't say that I disagree. I mean, there's the question marks of Scheffler and Rory McIlroy, and he's next up, and everything that he's done so far this year points to a big weekend. All right, listen, before we go, we got a big group of players kind of in that 33-40 range. Minwoo, Victor, Fitzpatrick, Decky, Cam Young, and now Akshay. Step Straka kind of surprisingly in there. I heard that Tim and Pat were talking about him before, but like of that group, that sweet spot where we often kind of focus in on guys at nice numbers. Is there one or two guys that you like more than the rest of that group?
So you named a few, and I've already bet Cam, and I've already bet Minwoo, and I'll tell you another one I've bet. And as I just like glommed over Morikawa on him, well, it's a bit of a poor man's Morikawa. And boy, am I going to be tempted to bet Hovland and Hideki, but you just can't bet everybody. But one of those guys I'll make a decision on. But who I have bet, and you've never heard me say it before, Huss, Russell Henley.
Wow.
Russell Henley. It's the books, the price they want on him, I guess it's not that much more of a discounted Morikawa, but he is just playing as great as Russell Henley always plays. And maybe you just want to take that in like a top 10 because Russell Henley will do what Russell Henley does. And, that's sort of like a lighter version of Tommy Fleetwood, which is like probably coming fourth place or something. But I'm really in on Henley this week. And I'm seeing some numbers that flirt around with 40 on Hideki, and that also just too tempting. If he can get that driver lined up, you may as well start betting him for the Masters because right now when you watch golf, Hideki Matsuyama can get up and down from Mars. If the driver is locked in, like he will, maybe I want him to win another green jacket. He's got a month to do it, but maybe he can pop this week because we won't get a warning sign.
Hey, last one for you. Why are we not hearing more people talking about Goddard with the season that he's had so far? Is it just like people are expecting the bottom to fall out on this guy? He's been lights out all year long.
What an incredible player. All I have to say on that, Huss, is I joked. I crossed him out because it's like the math in my brain will not allow him to like win his third event, which is the Players. At this moment in time. But I mean, it's really like more focus should be probably being made on Akshke, not just like for this week, but when you consider like how he's leveled up so lovely and his PGA Tour so consistently, and then you look at like everyone you think is good and young, and you'll realize Akshke is younger. You know what I mean? So he is on like a path that I think could be really, really special.
Akshay, 24 years old and still has 4 years before his age matches his waist size.
Oh, yeah. Huss, guys like me and you, like I see him in these beautiful, I like the outfits that he wears. I just can't pull them off. Like a big guys like us, like he goes like skinny pants. Those used to wear that Grayson gear. Like, oh my God. I wish, no, those, what do you call them? They're not, I want to call them like capris, but those like jogger golf. No, they won't look good on me. Trust me.
Fienberg, great stuff. Now, your boy Mayo could be adding to his family, but barring a wife going into labor, Friday cut sweat for the boys over on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, Friday cut sweat. And if Pat does have that baby, let's say even on the weekend, Tim has offered to host the show. And Pat is actually like holding him to it. So there might be a show when Pat has the baby that Tim is like forced to host. It might be the most interesting show we ever do. I don't even know what will end up being spoken about. But if you're just a fan of our hijinks, that's just something to keep an eye on as, Pat's D-Day.
Well, we'll be doing our usual show on Friday afternoon and finishing around probably 4:20 Eastern. So we'll raid over and we'll have the WST count the crew and come through if that is on. But hey, dude, always great catching up. Show keeps on rolling. This is a big week for golf. We're getting into this, and we got NFL draft and baseball coming up. So we'll look forward to doing this again real soon. But good luck with the wagers and the picks, and give Pat all my best on the soon-to-be new addition to the Mayo clan.
All the best. Appreciate you, boys. Anytime.
Right on. Thanks. There's Geoff Fienberg. Check him out at gfienberg17 on X. I do want to thank our friends at the HSC Foundation and remind you all that right now the Fund a Need campaign is well underway. This is so important to help with the spinal surgery department. There's obviously a big weight. They're looking to raise $425,000, and every one of your donations will be matched. So it will be doubled. Of course, you'll get a tax receipt for it. They're looking to get some new surgical equipment that will allow 200 more spine surgeries and 400 more joint replacement surgeries a year. So if you go to Health Sciences Center Foundation to the Fund a Need campaign and help us raise $425,000, and everything is matched by the Manitoba Spine Program. And hey, making our finishing touches with our winner to get out to Aikens Lake this year. Don't forget, folks, if you're looking for a world-class fly-in fishing experience here in the province where you can be on the water in less than a couple hours from the city of Winnipeg, Aikens Lake is the spot. World-class fishing and even more world-class hospitality from the Terren family and the Aikens team. Booking now throughout the summer, over 75% full. So check it out now at aikenslake.com and get your bookings. And if you are looking for a great summer job for you students out there, go to aikenslake.com and inquire as well about opportunities for the upcoming year. All right, there he is, WST fan favorite Geoff Fienberg. Shout out to Bridget, big fan of Geoff. Can make even the NFL sound interesting, apparently. Yeah, no, he's a beauty. I've been doing stuff with him for a long, long time. Definitely wanted to get him on this week for the players, for free agency, and, of course, the 5-year anniversary. By the way, happy birthday to Mary Jane, one of the queens of the WST chat. Mary Jane, I hope you have a wonderful day and get a win from the home team for your birthday. Let's just before we get to the cool bet lines, let's get to a power poll for Chud's Power Sports. Of course, our power polls on Winnipeg Sports Talk, brought to you by Chud's Power Sports up in Gimli. We're going to head out there next week, actually, and do a show for the Jetstown takeover for that Boston game. It should be fun. Looking forward to seeing the Derminator and the gang out there. Check out their website, chudspowersports.com. Those great deals on the 2027 snowmobiles. And, of course, everything else they've got going on as the ultimate power sports superstore in Manitoba for over 80 years. All right, top 5 teams trending out of the Olympics, trending up. Number 5 is the Anaheim Ducks. Now, the Ducks did have a bit of a dud on Sunday at home, losing 4-0 to the St. Louis Blues, but they had won 6 of 7 before that, have passed Edmonton, have passed Vegas, and are now first place in the Pacific going into tonight. Number 2's got to be our Jets. It hasn't always been pretty, but they have chopped an 11-point deficit into 5 points. They have yet to lose in regulation coming out of the break. 4-0-2, looking to continue their winning ways tonight at home against the Anaheim Ducks. Number 3 is the Ottawa Senators. And listen, the Sens have to be one of the hottest teams right now. They don't have the benefit of playing in the West, where the playoff line is much lower. But the Sens have only lost in regulation once in their last 10 games. They have won 3 games in a row. They're now 10 games above 500, 73 points on the season. And while it did look earlier that it was probably just Columbus that would be pushing for one of those wild card spots, Ottawa is definitely back in the mix. 73 points. They're just 3 back of the Boston Bruins. Columbus 74, just 2 points back. Columbus has a bit of an advantage being in the Met in that they can also theoretically catch the Islanders. They're 3 points back of the Islanders with a game in hand for 3rd spot in the Metropolitan Division. Number 2, it's the Dallas Stars. Their winning streak was broken in OT on the weekend, either OT or a shootout. But they're 9-0-1. They're doing it without Rupi Hintz, without Mikko Rantanen. Very, very impressive. And that Dallas-Minnesota series is going to be an absolute war. And I stand by everything I said to Dennis earlier today on the show. It is sort of a joke that one of those teams is going to be out in the first round. And obviously, if it was a 1-8, that series, if they were going to meet, would at least be in the second round as opposed to the third. And the number 1 team trending up out of the Olympics is the Buffalo Sabres. They're 7-0. They've beaten Tampa Bay twice. They've taken over first place in the Atlantic Division, and they are the best story in hockey right now and the easiest team to cheer for in the National Hockey League. There's today's Chud's Power Sports Power Poll, brought to you by Chud's Power Sports up in Gimli at the corner of Highway 8 and 231. All right, let's get to the Coolbet lines for tonight. There is so much going on at Coolbet. There's Champions League play today. There's 13 games in the NHL, which we'll hit right now. We've got the WBC, which will actually start with Israel, Netherlands tonight. Netherlands minus 192. You want to get on your boys, Remo, plus 155 for Israel. Canada's plus 194 dogs against Puerto Rico. This game doesn't really matter that much to Canada. What does matter is tomorrow's game against Cuba. Win, and they will advance. Lose, and they will be out. Shout out to, who was it that beat Panama for us? Colombia?
Let me double check that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Colombia who Canada beat at the start of the tournament. They beat Panama, who beat us. So it's going to come down to, in all likelihood, Puerto Rico winning and either Canada or Cuba moving on. Italy's a massive favorite the U.S. is a massive favorite against Italy. And tomorrow it's going to be the DR and Venezuela playing for their group. I know we got a little boost. Patty gave us a boost on the DR to win the group. So we'll be pulling for the DR there. And then actually we'll be following that game tomorrow. It starts at 2 o'clock our time. So we'll be paying attention to that. As far as of course, the players, all the odds for the Players Championship are up. Pat will join me tomorrow. We'll make our picks for the players tomorrow on WST. But tonight, it's all about this huge slate of hockey. Kings and Bruins. Kings won an OT yesterday against the Blue Jackets. They go back-to-back. That was a makeup game. I can't remember why that game was canceled. Must have been weather or something.
Oh, that's why it was on?
Yeah,
okay,
that's
we couldn't
why that
figure it
game
out.
was on.
Wasn't there a game canceled? Yeah, for something.
I think it was like a blizzard or something like that. I think when they got all that crazy storm, they had like 18 inches of snow in Columbus.
Yes, it was canceled January 26th because severe weather in Columbus. You were right. Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Severe weather. So it wasn't one of those Euro games. Anyways, Boston minus 154 favorites at home against the Kings. Buffalo, the Wagon, minus 196 against the Sharks. I'll be on the puck line tonight. Sabres minus 1.5, plus 122. Hurricanes minus 213 against the Penguins. Panthers minus 114 at home against the Wings. I do like Detroit. We're basically fading Florida the rest of the way. Habs and Leafs. That's the reason why we're playing at 7:30 tonight. Montreal minus 167. Favorites. The Rangers, big win last night. Well, not a big win, but a win against Philly, 6-2. They're minus 130 at home against Calgary. Blue Jackets and Lightning. Another big chance for the Bones Brigade to get a big win. I'll be pulling for Columbus. Probably won't be betting on them. Tampa minus 238 favorites. Blue Jackets just about 2-1. St. Louis looking for their 5th win in a row, plus money as a home dog. 102 for the Blues, minus 120 for the Islanders. Vegas has been struggling. Dallas is red hot. Dallas minus 147 at home. The Minnesota Wild at home against Utah. Utah only got 1 point against Chicago yesterday. I don't normally do this, but go Wild. Wild minus 154. The Jets are a minus 135 favorite against the Anaheim Ducks. Avalanche minus 172 favorites against the Oilers. And a pick'em. Nashville versus the Seattle Kraken. I know Nashville is ahead of the Jets, but tonight we want Nashville to win. Now, as far as the things go, if you go to the exclusives, I have put together a WST special for this game tonight. It's been a lot of Mark Scheifele lately, so his numbers are very, very big. But let's go for a Kyle Connor goal tonight. Josh Morrissey point. Jets to win. boosted up to plus 450. That is the Winnipeg Sports Talk parlay for tonight in the exclusives. And in the combo cards, I had to put together a little 3-gamer as well. Ride with Huss. Detroit over Florida. Boston over the Kings. And the Minnesota Wild over the Utah Mammoth. That's a nice boost from plus 436 to plus 501. Now, Remo, it is 3-point season, as I mentioned. Check out that one right beside it. Bruins and Kings both seem to go to overtime every night. Draw in that one. So just 60-minute draw, it to go to overtime, 3-point game. And Jets Ducks. Jets have gone to overtime like every game since the break. A draw there. Almost 20-1 for those 2 games to go to overtime.
That's crazy.
I know.
I used to like the tie ticket, so it is 3-point season. That's a real thing. So I'm curious how the Jets will fare. But you mentioned they've gone to overtime just about every game since the break here. So they went to overtime last time these 2 teams played a couple weeks ago in Anaheim. So yeah, like it. Kings played yesterday afternoon against the Blue Jackets. Play tight hockey.
Yeah, I mean, listen, these teams desperate for points. There's a lot of overtime games. The number's crazy, though. I mean, if you put $10 on that and it hits, pays you $206. So anyways, if you want to ride with that, it's there. Ride with us. It's going to be a fun night. All over at CoolBet. Pat joins us tomorrow. Huge NHL slate on Thursday. Jake will jump on with us. Tomorrow we'll focus in on our golf picks for the Players' Championship. Haven't played a CoolBet before? What are you waiting for? Use the promo code WST for a 100% bonus, up to $200 on your first deposit. And don't forget, we're back with poker in a couple weeks. I think we're doing with the 18th and then the 22nd of April. So we'll keep you posted on all that. We'll send out a reminder. But it's been a minute since we've had our poker tournament, so we got to get that going again. We will do that in March and in April again. All are welcome. Hey, Remo, before we go, are you a Bigfoot guy?
Like, what do you mean? What about him?
Like, are you into?
Do I believe in
the legend of Bigfoot and Bigfoot sightings?
Yeah, I think I'm more of a UFO guy than a Bigfoot guy, but I'm here for it.
Well, there's a lot going on in Ohio right now.
Oh, okay, I'm listening.
Bigfoot Society and the Bigfoot Mapping Project has been putting out some tweets. First, they got a Bigfoot sighting about a week ago, and now they've had their 6th reported Bigfoot sighting in 5 days.
What?
In Ohio. It is the most reported Bigfoot activity since the 1970s. You can look at Bigfoot_Society on X.
Let me bring this up.
Now, this could be some pranksters or something that are just pulling one over on the Bigfoot Society, and it's well coordinated. But they have a map of where these sightings have been. And as I say, they're tracking an unprecedented cluster of Bigfoot activity. Unprecedented cluster of activity in the last 96 hours, 5 separate high credibility reports stretching from Mantua to Windham. Many of these directly. The Bigfoot Mapping Project have been documenting these reports as well. A documented corridor of movement across the country. They break down the timeline of events. I can't imagine people in Manitoba have any information on this. But yes, the 2026 Northeast Ohio Bigfoot sighting surge is on there. So for those of you that are into Bigfoot, you can check out these videos. Bigfoot_Society.
I haven't seen this here. They got pictures or what? Is it just word of mouth?
Well, that's the thing. They've been call-ins. There's a description of them. I didn't see any things. By the way, hey, there's Dan Jets fan. Super chat. Happy belated anniversary, WST. Thank you, Dan Jets fan. Good stuff, and let's see you. So you guys can look it in. I mean, as I say, I just saw John Rich, my favorite blogger at Barstool, did a story on this. I was just checking out these videos from the guy. So we'll see whether there's any more information. Murat will join us tomorrow. I know you all love when Murat joins the program. Looking forward to talking to him about this game tonight. A look ahead to Thursday against the Rangers, and more on what's going on in the Western Conference in regards to the wild card. And, of course, our second chance to see Isaac Rosén as a Jet. Brad Lambert back, playing with Morgan Barron and Cole Koepke. Should be a fun one tonight. Get there early. First 5,000 fans get the Winnipeg Jets ski goggles. Very, very cool promo item. Coming off the cowboy hat giveaway on Saturday night. That is going to do it for us, everyone. We'll be out at the game tonight up in the 300 level. Pop by that hangar bar if you want to say hi. S2 Norm, I think, is in town. He's going to be doing that. And we're back at it tomorrow, 1 o'clock p.m., right here live on YouTube. Thanks to all of our sponsors and all of you, Dennis Bernstein, Mike McIntyre, Geoff Fienberg, and, of course, Michael Remis for making the show happen. Make sure to check out Winnipeg Sports Talk socials for the Jets game day report from Connor Rabchak. That'll be up heading into tonight's game. And we'll get Connor on tomorrow as well to get his thoughts on the club coming out of tonight's game. And, of course, tomorrow morning or later on tonight, whenever you prefer, check out Winnipeg Sports Talk for the post-game recap available for you on your drive to work tomorrow morning if you're looking for more WST content coming out of tonight's game. That's going to do it for us. See you at the barn tonight, if not tomorrow, 1 p.m. For Michael Remis, I'm Andrew Paterson. Have a great night, and thanks for hanging out with us on Winnipeg Sports Talk.
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.